Yeah, yeah, yeah.
วันนี้มีคนจากกรมรางมาครับ
Distinguished delegates, as we are about to start, may I kindly request you to proceed to your seats. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, distinguished delegates, participants. Before we resume our session discussion, the Secretariat just make some housekeeping announcement. So during the lunchtime today, there will be a side event. So the Secretariat would like to invite you to join this side event entitled Transition to E-Mobility in Public Transport, Collaborative Frameworks and Financing Mechanisms, co-organized by ESCAP Secretariat, the Global Sustainable Transport Innovation and Knowledge Center of China, the Embassy of Bangladesh in Thailand. So this event will take place in meeting room A from 12:30 to 14 hours. So we look forward to welcoming you to this important discussion on advancing e-mobility in public transport. And also for our tomorrow's program, so in the morning of tomorrow, we will have 2 parallel side events. First is side event on advancing a sustainable port network for Asia and the Pacific, co-organized by the Busan Port Authority, Republic of Korea, Korea Maritime Institute, KMI, and the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries of Republic of Korea, together with ESCAP Secretariat. So this event now featuring a keynote address from the former Secretary General of International Maritime Organization and the signing of a memorandum of agreement between Busan Port Authority and ESCAP Secretariat, which will take place from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock in the conference room 3. The light refreshments will be available, including an early coffee break before the meeting. So the second side event will focus on connectivity, sustainability, and resilience of freight transport in Southeast Asia and North and Central Asia. So, which will be organized by the Secretariat in collaboration with the International Transport Forum, ITF. So the event will be held from 9 o'clock to 12:30 in conference room 4, so with light refreshment provided. So finally, our final side event, Development Partner Roundtable, enhancing the impact of development assistance for the next decade, will be held from 12:30 to 14 hours in meeting room A. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good morning, colleagues. So thanks to the committee secretary for sharing those information on these side events and other engagements that we have before us. So we can call the meeting to order. And I understand that we still have some country statements to be made under agenda item 3B, environmentally sustainable transport systems and services. Do we have the list of speakers? Yes, so we would like to start with Maldives, the Honorable Minister for State for Transport and Civil Aviation.
Distinguished members of ESCAP, honorable delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. Today, I want to address one of the most pressing challenges facing our island nation, the critical need for environmentally sustainable transport systems in the Maldives. As a country comprising of about 1,192 islands scattered across the Indian Ocean, our transportation needs are as unique as our geography is beautiful. The Maldives faces a distinctive paradox. While we contribute minimally to global carbon emissions, we are among the most vulnerable nations to climate change and rising sea levels. Our transport sector, however, remains a significant source of our domestic carbon footprint, primarily due to our heavy reliance on fossil fuel-powered vessels for inter-island transport and an increasing number of vehicles on our more populated islands. Let me highlight 3 major challenges we face. First, our traditional diesel-powered ferry system, while essential for connecting our communities, contributes significantly to marine pollution and carbon emissions. Second, our capital, Male, one of the most densely populated cities in the world, struggles with traffic congestion and vehicle emissions in its limited space. Third, our growing tourism industry, while vital to our economy, places additional pressure on our transport infrastructure and environmental resources. However, within for transformation, we are already witnessing promising initiatives. The introduction of electric vehicles in Male and other populated islands marks a significant step forward. Efforts are underway to introduce EV vehicles such as taxis and other transport vehicles. But we must go further. Imagine the Maldives where water taxis run on solar power, where bicycle sharing systems connect different parts of our large islands, and where electric buses replace diesel-powered vehicles. Imagine our resort islands operating entirely on renewable energy-powered transport systems, setting a global example for sustainable tourism. The path forward requires a multifaceted approach. We need investment in renewable energy infrastructure to power our transport systems, partnerships with international organizations and technology providers, community engagement and education about sustainable transport options, strategic urban planning that prioritizes pedestrian and cycling infrastructure, stringent emission standards for all vehicles and vessels. The transition to sustainable transport isn't just an environmental imperative, it is an economic opportunity. By becoming a showcase for innovative, island-based sustainable transport solutions, we can attract green investment while protecting our natural heritage. As I conclude, let me remind you that the Maldives has always been a nation of seafarers and innovators. Today, we must channel this spirit of innovation towards creating transport systems that protect our environment while serving our people. The journey towards sustainable transport may be challenging, but it is one we must undertake, not just for ourselves, but for future generations who will call these beautiful islands home. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister of State. Next in line is the Republic of Korea, to be followed by Vietnam. Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Chair. Korea is actively making efforts to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, emphasizing with the importance of carbon neutrality in the transportation sector. In 2021, carbon emissions from the transportation sector in Korea reached 969 million tons, accounting for 14% of the country's total carbon emissions. In 2023, Korea established a master plan for carbon neutrality for a 20-year period with the target of reducing carbon emissions in the transportation sector by 38% compared to 2018 year level by 2030. To achieve carbon neutrality in the transportation sector, we are implementing policies to transition from internal combustion engine vehicles to eco-friendly alternatives such as electric and hydrogen vehicles. We are identifying and promoting policy issues with the vision of achieving carbon neutrality in all transportation processes, including automobiles, railways, and air shipping. Korea has an ambitious plan to convert 4.5 million vehicles, 17% of the total vehicles, to electric and hydrogen vehicles by 2030. Korea is promoting a voluntary transition to eco-friendly vehicles by offering subsidies and tax reductions. The government, local governments, and public institutions are required to introduce only electric and hydrogen vehicles as new vehicles. In addition, we are expanding the supply of electric vehicle chargers at major travel routes and living locations to create a convenient charging environment. We are also promoting policies to reduce internal combustion vehicles, such as supporting the early retirement of old diesel vehicles with high greenhouse gas emissions. Korea is willing to cooperate with member states to share our knowledge and experience in advancing policies on low carbon mobility and logistics. Thank you.
Thank you, Republic of Korea. Vietnam to take the floor, followed by Kazakhstan. Vietnam, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, all. On behalf of the Ministry of Transport of Vietnam, I would like to update on the implementation of environmentally sustainable transport system and services in Vietnam as follows. As you may know, with more than 3,000 kilometers of coastline and two low-lying deltas, Vietnam is one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change. At the COP26, Vietnam made strong commitment to bring net emissions to zero by 2050. Implementing this commitment, Vietnam has developed a carbon reduction roadmap and a green energy transition program for the transport sector by 2050. The program sets specific goals in two phases. Period to 2030, to improve energy efficiency, accelerate the transformation of electricity and green energy use in fields that are ready in terms of technology, institutions, and resources. Period to 2050, regionally develop modes of transport, convert own vehicle equipment and transport infrastructure to using electricity and green energy, aiming for net zero emission by 2050. So far, the implementation of the program has achieved a number of positive results. The content related to encouragement of development of vehicles using electricity and green energy for the road sector was included in the Law on Roads and the Law on Road Traffic Order and Safety in 2024. Circular guiding energy labeling for electric cars, motorcycles, and mopeds, and electric hybrids was promulgated. Content related to electric cars and electric motorcycles was supplemented in the regulation and on technical safety inspection and environmental protection of road motor vehicles. The number of electric cars and electric motorcycle manufactured, assembled, and imported in Vietnam has increased sharply in the past 2 years, with 68,000 electric cars, nearly 1.8 million electric motorcycles by August 2024. Large electric buses have also been deployed with more than 200 buses, accounting for about 2.8% of the total number of buses nationwide. Vietnam's first electric power urban railway has been in operation since November 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, with the government's strong commitment and high determination, Vietnam will continue to make efforts to achieve the set goals. We look forward to receiving the support, sharing of experience, and cooperation of member countries, hoping that transport in the Asia and Pacific region will make a positive contribution to bringing global net greenhouse gas emissions to zero by 2050. Before conclusion, may I wish you all good health and the execution of the committee a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vietnam. Kazakhstan may take the floor, followed by the UK. Kazakhstan, please.
Actually, we have a speech yesterday, so for today we will speak in another part. Thank you.
Thank you, Kazakhstan. Now we move to the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Thank you, Chair. This is really an area where we very much appreciate our collaboration with ESCAP. Through UK-funded research programs, such as the High-Volume Transport and Climate Compatible Growth Programme, we've been working with ADB, ESCAP and SLOCAT to support member states to articulate ambitious but achievable economy-wide NDCs, explicitly including ambition for the transport sector. This is an important piece of work with NDCs at the heart of the Paris Agreement. We are also working to contribute to the development of low-carbon transition pathways for the transport sector in partner countries, using data and evidence to identify optimal routes to decarbonisation for specific national contexts. Apologies, Chair, to interrupt midway. Can I clarify that we are under item 3B?
We are, indeed.
Okay, great. Just as I heard some whispering, so I was wondering, am I intervening at the incorrect point? I will continue, thank you. So we're really keen to work with partners in this region in particular as we look across key initiatives that collectively aim to support an accelerated global transition to zero-emission vehicles with this decade. For example, the Road Transport Breakthrough, the Accelerating to Zero Coalition, and the Zero Emissions Vehicles Transition Council. This all includes vital work to strengthen international support for emerging markets in the road transport sector. Colleagues can find out more about this work in the COP28 launched Global ZEV Transition Roadmap, and we look forward to launching the roadmap's first annual update, setting out progress and announcing new actions at COP29. The roadmap includes plans to expand the ZEV Rapid Response Facility in 2025 so more countries can access agile technical support through a broad network of world-leading experts and support providers. This is currently available for countries that have signalled Paris-aligned phase-out dates for new internal combustion engine vehicles, and we'll be very happy to provide more information to anyone else interested in finding out more. Thank you.
Thank you, UK. Do we see Kazakhstan once again?
No, I mean that we had a speech on this issue yesterday on this part. So we are planning to have a speech on the 3C part.
Right, that was my understanding. I think we have repeated Kazakhstan's name for no particular reason. Is there any other delegation that would wish to take floor under agenda item 3B, please? That does not seem to be the case. So we can move to organizations. We have AITD to start with.
We have already made a statement yesterday on this, 3B.
Okay. Can we please request those who are wishing to take the floor to coordinate with the Secretariat so that we can avoid such communication gaps, please? Is there any other organization on the list? That does not seem to be the case. So it's our understanding that we have discussions on the decision points, right? The second decision under this agenda item, we can perhaps project it on the screen. Well, we have decision 5 up on the screen. So please take a moment to go through once again, and if there is any immediate comments or reactions, please feel free to raise your flags. We see Fiji, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. Let me thank the Secretary for this excellent draft that is before us this morning, and we would like to recognize the importance of this decision with an addition of the element on the partnership that have been raised in other decisions. So if we look to the, if I may, on the third line from the bottom, after the word associate members, and insert the words "and with support of relevant partners to continue to support projects and initiatives on the transition," the sentence goes on. That will be our request in the intervention, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you, distinguished delegate from Fiji. Any other comments? The US, please.
Thank you, Chair. The United States proposes to streamline this decision and drop the first delete from after the word transport, the Committee on Transport, all the way through the word encourages. We don't see it as necessary to take note of these multiple elements that are mentioned here, and just focus on what we're encouraging member states, associate members, and now relevant partners to do. Thank you.
Well noted, the US. We have the Russian Federation.
Спасибо, господин председатель. Ну, у нас соображения, они идут в одном направлении с тем комментарием, который сделал наш коллега из делегации США. Поэтому я пока воздержусь от представления тех корректировок, которые мы хотели предложить. И еще раз повторю, что в принципе наши соображения, они идут в этом же направлении, как те комментарии, которые сделал представитель США. Спасибо.
Well taken. The Russian Federation. I think we have Japan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We actually also had a lot of edits before the United States had intervened, and we also concur with US and Russia on this point of we are sort of cherry picking various activities under the Regional Action Program. We just don't understand the rationale for it. And our understanding is that there are also tons and tons of meetings that are being held under this theme. So we think we should just, because then we'll end up with a laundry list, so we would request the streamlined version. And just to point out that I don't think we need the "and" that follows the parentheses. I think it's welcomes. Is it just welcomes? Or, oh, okay. Okay, so we're keeping welcomes the progress made in. I thought the intervention was about the Committee on Transport encourages members and associate members. I thought that was the intervention, just to keep it into the action portion. That was our understanding.
Thank you. Does the US agree with that?
No, that was the intended edit, all the way up through welcomes.
Okay.
Deleting.
Yes, from this point, thank you. Any other comments? The Russian Federation.
Спасибо, господин председатель. Я позволю себе сделать комментарий по другому дополнению к тексту. То предложение по вычеркиванию, которое было сделано делегацией США, поддержано делегацией Японии, насколько я понимаю. С нашей стороны я тоже уже говорил, что мы придерживаемся такого же подхода. А сейчас я бы хотел остановиться на фразе, которую добавил наш друг из делегации Фиджи, а именно with support of relevant partners. Я уже вчера говорил, что у нас возникает некоторая системная, с моей точки зрения, сбойка, путаница. Совершенно верно. Изначально, я очень хорошо помню, наш коллега из делегации Фиджи вел речь о партнерах в области развития, development partners. Далее у нас была некоторая дискуссия, и в итоге эта дискуссия привела к тому, что в тексте остаются только слова relevant partners. И вот это вот создает ambiguity. Коль скоро это остается в тексте, мне приходится предлагать поправку через запятую as appropriate. Я хотел бы абсолютно четко сегодня сказать, по крайней мере, что если бы речь шла о партнерах в области развития, то в этой ситуации мы бы не усматривали необходимости вставлять дополнительные уточнения as appropriate. Но в данном случае это необходимо. Спасибо.
Thank you. Japan first and then Fiji.
Just to add, like what we did with the other decisions, maybe, and with support of relevant stakeholders and partners. Relevant stakeholders, and so add stakeholders and partners. Thank you.
Fiji may wish to comment on both proposals from the Russian Federation and Japan. Please.
Thank you, Chair. First, on the approach, we have no hard and fast attachments to the proposals by the U.S., followed by Japan and Russian Federation. But we just make a point in reference to the regional dialogue on sustainable development that was held in Fiji. This is critical for the Pacific, small island developing states and other states. What I understand is that we're building this process for the future, and our island states are lagging behind because relevant partners, and that's the reason why I had put in relevant partners to assist us meet our SDGs. And I understand that's the role of this institution, with its rules and regulations and procedures, which I'm respecting as a member of this organization, that we need to have that. I understand from Japan that we need not cherry picking, but the region is not equal. We have the P at the end of the Asia Pacific, which are really lagging behind. And that is the reason why I thought it's important, in reference to our issues, that will continue to help building this organization forward in meeting our SDGs. It was just purely policy, without any legislation. I also understand where the Russian Federation is coming in terms of as appropriate. I agree. We have relevant partners who are supporting our issues for island states that may not be relevant to the other parts of the Asia-Pacific region. The Asia-Pacific starts from Samoa and then in Turkey. It's a vast region. And we cannot have one set of policies that works for all. There needs to be areas that needs to be accorded to the vulnerable groups, like our small island states in the Asia-Pacific group. So that being said, Mr. Chair, I would like that the statement to be recorded as our statement of concern in the manner in which this draft has continued to cut across specific issues of that does not recognize the vulnerable groups in this organization. That being said, I I go along with all the suggestions that has been made in the text. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fiji. Points well noted, and thanks for the flexibility. Do we have Japan? Yes.
Well, just to noting the concerns expressed by Fiji, perhaps one way forward is to add at the end of the sentence, with a view to especially addressing the vulnerabilities of small island development states and other transit-challenged countries. So, we'll leave it to the Secretariat, but that is one way of addressing the concern.
Japan, would you like to repeat, please, for
Addressing
the
the
Secretariat's?
vulnerabilities. Of small island development states, or something like that. I'm just, as one way of.
Thank you. Japan, we have Russian Federation.
Спасибо. По мере того, как изменяется текст, у нас возникает необходимость введения дополнительных корректировок. Первое. Слово support вычеркнуть и заменить его на слово, не здесь, не в этом, support of relevant stakeholders. В этом месте слово support зачеркнуть и заменить его на слова with involvement of. Это первое. Второе. Третья строчка снизу, где речь идет о support projects and initiatives. Зачеркнуть support projects and initiative on the заменить словами to work towards. To work towards the transition to low carbon mobility. Спасибо.
Thank you. Russian Federation. Fiji, please.
Thank you, Chair, for the further amendments by my distinguished colleague of the Russian Federation. To delete the word support projects and initiatives, it will be a very difficult stance for me. As you know, we are small island developing states. We depend on projects and initiatives. It cannot come from thin air. It has to be initiated somehow. And to work towards a transition to low carbon mobility, that is already the objective. We are already gearing up for that. But we need the means to take us through into achieving those objectives, which is transition to low carbon mobility. I have difficulty in accepting that, that proposal, Chair, to delete the latest Russian proposal to delete projects and initiatives. For us, we need a start. And that start is through partnerships or stakeholders that are involved in this process. Because we are small, we need those small projects. Even $1 million or $1,000, that makes a difference to our sustainable livelihoods. We're not talking about billions here. We're talking about small. So I would like to request that the retention of projects and initiatives, and that will make the addition by the Russian Federation working towards the transition, because it's already an objective. It's already a Paris Agreement objective, a transition to low carbon mobility. So to achieve a 1.5 degree goal. And I'm not saying something that we haven't agreed to as parties to the Paris Agreement. So I really would like to request that we retain projects and initiatives, because that will help us meet our goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fiji. The Russian Federation, followed by China.
Спасибо, Амина. Я вижу, что у нас совершенно, как говорится, нет расхождения по существу. Похоже, у нас просто акценты на разных моментах этого текста. Мы абсолютно однозначно поддерживаем задачи, касающиеся предоставления средств осуществления малым островным развивающимся странам. Единственная причина, по которой мы изначально предложили вычеркнуть projects and initiatives, потому что это звучит как свидание вслепую. И непонятно, о каких initiatives идет речь. Инициативы могут быть не только касающиеся проектов, они могут носить некий политический характер. И без понимания того, что стоит за этими инициативами, без понимания того, каким образом эти инициативы и кем они утверждены, мы на это согласиться не можем. Но мы можем принять поддержку проектов. И мы бы предложили тогда следующее. New amendment. To support projects as agreed by interested parties on the transition to a low carbon mobility and logistics. To support projects as agreed by interested parties in the transition, in the transition to the low mobility. И тогда в такой редакции, да, мы готовы отозвать внесенное дополнение to work towards. Таким образом, мы, тем не менее, просили бы понять наши причины, почему мы просим вычеркнуть слово «инициативы». Мы не рассматриваем слово «инициатива» как исключительно сфокусированное на проектной деятельности. Мы усматриваем здесь возможность для более широкого политического толкования. И без понимания того, о чем идет речь, мы не готовы согласиться. Таким образом, еще раз подчеркну, мы готовы были бы согласиться с текстом, который звучит to support projects as agreed by interested parties on the transition to low carbon mobility, etc. On the transition to a low carbon mobility. To work towards to be deleted. So we recall that.
Thank you, Russian Federation. Can we hear from China first, and then we'll come back to Japan, China.
谢谢主席，大家早晨好。刚才我们听了斐济代表和俄罗斯代表的这个解释。我们认为一开始俄罗斯代表提出的关于 work towards 和这个 support projects and initiatives，正如俄罗斯代表说的，其实实质上并没有太大的区别。work towards 这个用法的话，其实更加的宽泛，更加的宽泛 ，general，我们认为更加的这个宽泛，听了斐济代表的这个意见以后呢，我们觉得我们应该要这个照顾小岛国的这个关切。我们认为可以保留 support projects and initiatives。后来俄罗斯代表团也解释了，觉得 initiatives 有这个政治方面的内涵，所以呢，我们认为俄罗斯代表团提出的最新的修改意见 support projects 我们可以同意，谢谢。
So, China, are you suggesting retaining the words work towards? Is that our...
No, not retaining the words work towards, but we prefer we can just retain the original text. But after listening to the explanation of our Russian Federation, we can also go along the suggestions, the new suggestions by the Russian Federation. We can just use the word support the projects as agreed by the interested parties. Thank you.
Thank you. That's clear. Japan followed by Fiji.
Well, if it makes it simpler, we can just remove the addition that we had suggested earlier to just retain what it was before. Because if it led to all these edits, we are okay to remove the last portion.
Thank you for that flexibility. Fiji, please.
Thank you, Chair. Let me thank our distinguished colleagues, for their contributions towards enhancing and making this particular paragraph workable or meaningful to this committee, to the work of this committee. In my earlier intervention, I said I agreed with the approach that's been taken by USA, Japan, Russian Federation in terms of the approach, not to cherry picking. But in doing that, we are forgetting one important essential element, the linkages, because this is going back to the word initiatives and projects. This is linked to an agreement that we already had as party to this organization, giving the mandate to the committee for the work that was held in Nandi, Fiji. This is not drawn out of thin air. These are initiatives agreed to by this committee. So what I'm saying is that now that we're trying to amend the words, it seems to be connected to nowhere. That is making it difficult, bringing in some political connotations that has made this particular paragraph difficult to understand. We are trying to reword of an activity that has already been approved and budgeted, provided for, as I said. So I would like to make that comment, make it very clear. Back to the languages, I thank the Russian Federation and China for their flexibilities. And to delete the word on initiatives, I can go along with that. I will reverse because I understand what he's talking about. But going back to Japan's proposal, I would like to request if you can retain the last part, but add in Asia Pacific region. Just to make it clear, these are small and developing states in this region. If we can retain that last part, I would ask my distinguished colleague from Japan if we can retain that the last part in this region. Yeah, thank you. With that, Chair, I'm with you to go along with the paragraph. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiji. And just to assure you, I mean, the reference to the regional dialogue on sustainable maritime connectivity that was held in July 2024 in Fiji would perhaps find a reference in the report of the committee. So those important resources or elements will not be entirely missed out in case they are not accommodated in the decision point. Any other comments, especially from Japan and the Russian Federation? Would you like to revisit the texts in view of the latest suggestions coming from Fiji?
I'm sorry, I'm really confused now. What's crossed out and what's not crossed out? Can you
What
just
Fiji
delete
is
Japan?
suggesting that your formulation...
Can you please delete the parenthesis Japan, because I don't know what we're doing here, so can you please delete that? Yeah, with a view to...
So just to help Japan, the delegation of Fiji supported your earlier formulation, which you had withdrawn, but they have slightly tweaked with the language to specify that when we refer to seeds, it's particularly the Asia-Pacific seeds that we are talking about. Thailand, please.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the floor. I request for the floor just to comment on the last part. Having heard the Chinese intervention, we agree that the text should have a meaning in a broader term. Sir, on the last part, as it's on the screen now, I would like to suggest a new amendment, as we should put a comma after the Pacific, and it would read in particular to address the vulnerabilities of small island developing states, and I hope this will help. Thank you, sir. And delete the rest.
Yes, in particular to address the vulnerabilities of small island developing states in this region. Is that the suggestion? Thailand nods his head, so can we reflect that, please? I would request both Japan and Fiji to contemplate on this latest suggestion. We perhaps need to streamline the text a little bit further. Can I draw the attention of the Russian Federation and Fiji to please look at some of the earlier parts of the text? If we can avoid certain repetitions or redundancies. We have now involvement of relevant stakeholders and partners. Again, a caveat as appropriate, and then again as agreed by interested parties on. Maybe can we try to streamline the text a little bit, please? Bangladesh, please.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, we need to streamline like the same wording again and again with relevant partners as appropriate again. Yesterday, we told about this thing also, but at that time, it was, the idea was no, it is presented in different situations, and all the inclusion of this kind of situation is correct. It was the understanding of the House at that time. So if I think it's also a repetition with relevant stakeholders, because relevant stakeholders are mentioned at the end. So definitely we can streamline those wordings as you suggested. Thank you.
Thank you. The UK, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to all delegates for trying to streamline and reach some meaning in this paragraph. Sitting back now and reflecting and thinking across the piece at all of the decisions that are about to come, it is really important that we recognise significant initiatives, significant action plans that really underpin the overarching work of this committee. So in the next decision where we're talking about the decade of action for road safety, for example. So I understand the reasoning behind not wanting to cherry pick, but I think the broad welcoming of progress is really relevant. Now, we've all had much debate over what the word welcome, note, appreciate all means. But if I may suggest that we reintroduce the first clause in the sentence. So the Committee on Transport notes the progress made in the area of low carbon mobility and logistics, just so that the rest of the paragraph at least makes sense as to what we are referring to. You know, that is the topic. The topic is low carbon mobility and logistics. And then the rest of the paragraph tells us the how, you know, that we will do this with relevant stakeholders as appropriate, etc. Otherwise, we risk losing just a lot of meaning here. I won't weigh in on all of the different caveats below, just with a view to it making sense as spoken of by the distinguished delegate of Bangladesh. But we would like to just welcome back in notes the progress made in the area of low carbon mobility and logistics, because ultimately that is what we have discussed under this item 3B. Thank you.
Thank you. Well noted. Any other comments? It seems the committee can accept this formulation overall. The Committee on Transport notes the progress made in the area of low carbon mobility and logistics, encourages members and associate members, and with involvement of relevant stakeholders and partners as appropriate, to continue to support projects as agreed by interested parties on the transition to low carbon mobility and logistics in Asia and the Pacific, in particular to address the vulnerabilities of small island developing states in this region. Japan, please.
Just having a second look on the text. The part as agreed by interested parties. Before all this text in the middle was striked, we thought that the decision could be more inclusive and in accordance with the adopted, just generally adopted or agreed program of work. But the way it's formulated here is projects as agreed by interested parties. So there is no reference to the linkages of what we broadly agree as a group. Perhaps maybe we may want to consider in accordance with the adopted program or some reference that kind of links to the general views of the Commission. Thank you.
Can you suggest some formulation, Japan, please? Because
So as agreed by interested parties in accordance with the adopted program? I mean, we were fine with the initial simple formulation, but when you include all these different things, I think this is the type of edit that we get, and that's why we said we are willing to pull our later suggestion to go back with the original formulation.
Right. Our Secretariat colleagues are providing some and shedding some light on that. The adopted program that you are referring to, Japan, is probably the ESCAP program that you talk about. But this decision is calling upon members, or sorry, encouraging members and associate members to do certain things. So there may be some confusion as to whether the program, ESCAP program, the Commission program would relate to the members and associate members as such.
You're right, it is encouraging members, and so if you can pull that then, thank you.
So yes, Japan is ready to withdraw that. Thank you. I don't know who came first, maybe the UK and then Bangladesh.
Thank you, Chair. This was more a question, I guess, to other delegates as well, is that if the as appropriate after relevant stakeholders and partners is added at the end to instead to after projects, and then you don't have as agreed by interesting parties, would that be enough of a caveat to the whole clause? So, as in, if you had, with involvement of relevant stakeholders and partners as to support projects, and then comma as appropriate, so that as appropriate applied to both the projects and the partners, that would mean that we just don't have another caveat in the sentence to work around. So if that works with others, that's something we'd suggest. We'd suggest moving the as agreed by interested parties and then just shifting the as appropriate to be at the end there. And also just to clarify, because it's not quite clear to me, we are insisting as the UK that the first clause, the progress made in the area of low carbon mobility and logistics, remains. But hopefully that's just clear and it's just me finding that confusing. Thank you.
No, on that last point, you're right. Can the Secretariat please, okay, let them reflect what you have suggested. And in the first line, can we take out the strikeout from the progress made in the area of low carbon mobility and logistics, please? Right. Bangladesh?
Actually, that is already coordinated by you, Mr. Chair. I was telling that we need to get out the strikeout of the progress made in the low carbon mobility and logistics. And I would like to thank the delegate from UK to amend as I'm thinking about in the late part that as appropriate may be used once, and the other part is deleted. Interested parties, that is repetition. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There is a comma before to continue, which can perhaps be brought before as appropriate. Thank you. Russian Federation.
Спасибо, господин председатель. Есть принципиальное различие в том, что несет в себе уточнение as appropriate. И это не случайно, что мы его поместили именно в то место, которое требуется для этого уточнения. Поэтому мы не можем согласиться с переносом as appropriate в то место, которое сейчас мы видим на экране.
Noted. Would you agree to the suggested deletion of as agreed by interested parties? That would probably help streamline the text, and then we can take as appropriate where you had originally suggested it. So it would read encourages members and associate members and, encourages members and associate members, probably we don't need the and, with involvement of relevant stakeholders and partners as appropriate, to continue to support projects on the transition to low-carbon mobility and logistics in Asia and the Pacific, in particular to address the vulnerabilities of small island developing states in this region. Since the word initiative had been taken out, so probably we can try to live with this text as I read out. Support projects, then we delete as appropriate, please, or although, yes, support projects on the transition to low-carbon mobility. Right. There should perhaps be a comma after as appropriate. Thank you. With the involvement, probably, with the involvement of relevant stakeholders and partners, it's appropriate to continue to support projects on the transition. Right. The committee can live with this formulation for decision 5. Great, thank you. Shall we proceed? We can clean up the text and maybe allow all delegations to take a second look. Thank you for your cooperation. we can take out the dash before involvement, please. Yeah. Sorry about those technicalities. Great. So thank you again. That was a constructive exercise, and I would request the Secretariat to include this version of the text in the draft report for consideration during the, oh, sorry, we have China.
主席，谢谢主席，很抱歉，比较晚的这个发言，总体来说，我们对于现在修正的这个 Decision 5没有其他的意义，我们就想提醒一下委员会，就是关于第一句话，就是 notes the progress，我们建议可能在这儿也要。可能要注意一个风格的一致性，因为昨天我们在讨论，如果我没记错的话，我们在讨论 Decision 1的时候，当时我记得委员会花了很多的时间讨论是用这个 welcomes notes 还是用 acknowledges，我想当时最后的这个虽然没有做出最终的这个决定，但是很多代表团觉得还是用最初的表示 acknowledges the progress， 所以我想在这儿提醒一下，我们是不是把这个 notes 暂时放在方括号里面，是不是可以等到 decision 1， 我们在对这个整个做出最终的决定以后，我们是不是可以保留风格的一致？谢谢。
Thank you, China. That's well noted. One issue that I would flag to you for your convenience is that here we are noting the progress made in the area of low-carbon mobility and logistics. The word progress is critical because that is implying that we are acknowledging that significant work has been done. It may not necessarily be applicable in other decision points where we perhaps are not using those kind of adjectives like or noun or adjectives like progress. So let's go case by case, but your point is well taken. Thank you. Great. So as I was saying, we would request the Secretariat, or I would request the Secretariat to include this version of the text in the draft report for consideration during adoption of the report. Distinguished delegates, let us now turn to Agenda 3, Major Issues in Transport, Sub-Item C, Safe and Inclusive Transport and Mobility. There are two documents issued in connection with this agenda item, namely Guidelines on Enhancing Social Inclusion and Innovations in Urban Transport Systems in Asia-Pacific Cities, document ESCAP/CTR8/6, and Developments in Road Safety, document ESCAP/CTR8/7. I will first invite the Secretariat to present document ESCAP/CTR8/6. Ms. Katrin Luger, you may please have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to present the work of the Secretariat on the agenda item on guidelines on enhancing social inclusion and innovations in urban transport systems in Asia-Pacific cities, as contained in your pre-session document. The work before you has been done by the Secretariat to make progress on the thematic area of inclusive transport and mobility of the Regional Action Programme for Sustainable Transport Development in Asia and the Pacific, with a view to reducing poverty and social inequality. Inclusive transport and mobility are often overlooked in transport development in our region. There's a growing need to prioritize and implement inclusive policies in transport planning and development in order to capture the economic and social gains that such policies can provide. Transport indeed plays a critical role in providing access to services and the essentials of life, such as education, healthcare, and employment opportunities, which largely determine economic development and the well-being of society, making transport an integral part of sustainable development. This development is hindered by a number of concerns related to the social aspects of especially urban transport in cities, which include things like universal design, safety, equality, equity, and affordability. If you allow me to discuss some of these concerns, they include the need for inclusive public transport that caters to the needs of all social groups, including women, persons with disabilities, older persons, and low-income households, and also the provision of quality mobility services, considering that the mean and median ages of the population in many parts of our region are increasing. Moreover, different transport user groups have different travel behaviors and needs, which are often overlooked in the design and operation of transport systems. For example, persons with disabilities generally make fewer and shorter trips, drive less, and rely more on transit and non-motorized modes of transport. Women generally undertake shorter journeys and engage more in a phenomenon called trip chaining, which means combining multiple errands in one trip using multiple modes of transport. They also travel more at off-peak hours. However, such differences in transport needs are often not addressed in transport infrastructure projects. So to deliver enhanced capacity of transport policymakers to plan for and operate more socially inclusive urban transport systems, a set of regional guidelines has been developed on the basis of lessons learned from 4 national urban transport assessments, as well as based on consultations during an expert group meeting and a regional meeting. The assessments were carried out as part of a project on enhancing social inclusion innovations in urban transport systems in Asia-Pacific cities over the course of 2 years. Based on the results of these 4 national assessments and supplemented by a transport survey, the national discussions and regional consultations, the guidelines were developed to chart a path towards transforming mobility systems to be accessible for all. The 5 guidelines are described in detail in the annex of your pre-session documents, and they're also shown here on the screen. Decision makers can use these guidelines to develop a transport policy framework on enhancing social inclusion. Since the guidelines have been designed to address social inclusion in urban transport systems in Asia and the Pacific at a regional level, a certain amount of flexibility has been maintained. In doing so, the guidelines allow for further modifications to be made at the national level in order to reflect specific national needs and circumstances. The related decision has been put forward for your kind consideration, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Luger from the Secretariat. I would now like to request the Secretariat to present document ESCAP/CTR8/7 on developments in road safety. Ms. Thanatapon Rasamit, please.
Thank you, Chair. Distinguished delegates, I'm pleased to introduce Agenda Item 3C document on development in road safety. Distinguished delegates, 59% of global road traffic deaths take place in the Asia-Pacific region. In 2021 alone, a total of more than 700,000 individuals lost their life in road traffic accidents within the Asia-Pacific region. Though we have seen the progress of 7% reduction during the past decade from 2010 to 2021, but comparatively, this is still far behind from the 50% reduction target set for this decade. Road traffic fatality rate in the ESCAP region is 15.15 deaths per 100,000 inhabitants in 2021, which is already a decrease from the rate of 18 in 2010. However, still, the Asia-Pacific region road safety fatality rate is slightly higher than the global fatality rate at 15.05. Within the Asia-Pacific region, the East and Northeast Asia, as well as South and Southwest Asia subregions, have higher road traffic fatality rate. Next slide. This slide is a quick snapshot of how countries in the regions are doing comparatively. You notice the bar chart shows number of road traffic fatality, and the dot shows the road traffic fatality rate per 100,000 inhabitants. The dotted line there in the middle is ESCAP average rate. So you notice a number of countries in terms of fatality rate is above average. Next is on vulnerable road users. Vulnerable road users comprise motorized 2- and 3-wheelers, cyclists, and pedestrians. And this portion of vulnerable road users comprise 50% of global road traffic death. And in the Asia-Pacific region, it exceeds 66% of all road traffic death, and majority of whom were on the motorized 2- and 3-wheelers. In 2021, higher proportion of vulnerable road user death can be observed in East and Northeast Asia, Southeast Asia, and South and Southwest Asia sub-region. In the ESCAP region, motorized 2- and 3-wheelers have the highest proportion of death among all road users, especially in Southeast Asia and South and Southwest Asia, where nearly 60% and nearly 40% of road traffic death involve motorized 2- and 3-wheelers. So there is a need to improve the safety of these motorized 2- and 3-wheelers in the Asia-Pacific region. Given the importance of road safety issue, despite overall decrease in fatality number and rate in the ESCAP region, the proportion of fatality of motorized 2- and 3-wheeler continue to grow in our region, especially as we observe the 2 sub-regions mentioned. So distinguished delegates, given the importance of road safety issues at the regional and global levels, there are a number of global and regional mandates and initiatives to improve road safety. In the GA Resolution 78/290 adopted on June 2024, the Assembly urged Member States and relevant actors to accelerate and scale up efforts to implement the Global Plan for the Decade of Action for Road Safety 2021 to 2030, making road safety a policy priority and ensuring its relevance in the broader sustainable development. To ensure high commitment, the 4th Global Ministerial Conference on Road Safety is to be held in Marrakesh, Morocco, in February next year. And in addition, we may observe the United Road Safety Fund that was launched in April 2018 has funded so far 44 projects for its participating UN organization, of which 8 projects have been implemented by ESCAP with its partner to enhance road safety across the Asia-Pacific region. Since the launch of the Decade of Action for Road Safety in 2021, ESCAP has been implementing a total of 9 projects, 8 of which are the UNRSF and 1 UNDA, in 12 countries aimed at enhancing road safety across the Asia-Pacific region, in line with the Regional Plan of Action for Asia and the Pacific for the 2nd Decade of Action for Road Safety, which was welcomed by the committee at its 7th session 2 years ago. And this initiative provides targeted technical assistance and capacity building on the focus area of road safety management, safer road and mobility, safer vehicles, and safe road users. And on the right-hand side, you may see the list of projects that are being implemented. And 2 have already been complete as shown in this slide. More information is available in the document as you may already seen. So under this agenda item, the issue for consideration is the committee may wish to urge member states to continue and scale up effort to promote and improve road safety in the region, including the safety of vulnerable road users, a group comprising pedestrians, cyclists, and riders of motorized 2- and 3-wheelers, among others. The committee may wish to recognize the important role played by the Secretariat of the United Nations Road Safety Fund and consider engaging with it to support road safety advancement in the region through targeted technical assistance projects. The committee may wish also to provide guidance on any additional efforts that could be taken at the regional, sub-regional, and national levels to significantly reduce the number of road traffic deaths and achieve the target of the second decade of action for road safety, 2021 to 2030. Representatives of member states are invited to inform the committee of progress made and of relevant activities taken at the regional, sub-regional, and national levels to improve road safety in the Asia-Pacific region. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rasamit. Some sobering numbers, of course. And I also understand that the UNRCF board is looking for the nomination from the Asia-Pacific region. So that's also perhaps a reminder for the committee members here. Anyone interested at the ministerial or vice ministerial level can take part in the RSF board from the region, please. So we would now hear general comments and interventions from delegations. The first on our list is Nepal, to be followed by the Russian Federation.
Mr. Chairperson, distinguished guests, the number of road accidents is increasing in Nepal. Mountainous topography, difficult terrain, drivers' behavior, and lack of sufficient road safety infrastructure and barriers are the main cause of road accident in Nepal. The problems in the number of fatalities and serious injuries per accident is very high. Nepal has developed road safety plans, strategy, but the challenge is its implementation and achieving the reduction in number of accidents and fatalities. Our vision is to develop the safe and secure transport network in Nepal. Everyone can travel without fear of road crashes and injuries. The latest road safety data for Nepal shows slight decrease in fatalities from 2022 to 2023. That is 2,883 to 2,368. But this number is high considering fatalities per 1 lakh populations. Nepal has implemented Do Not Drink and Drive campaign in Kathmandu, capital city, with success. We need similar program to reduce the number of fatalities and meet to goal to reduce the fatalities by half in the year 2030. We need to work together to reduce the number of fatalities and serious injuries from road crashes. Nepal has also introduced road safety audits, ensuring road safety consideration and integration of road planning and design. Activities like improvement of road infrastructure, black spot study, and maintenance of road infrastructure, road safety awareness through the traffic weeks and safety campaign, vehicle fitness and road worthiness test, drink and drive provision, enforcement of traffic rules, post-crash responses are being implemented. Installation of road crash barriers have been proved very effective in reducing the road accident. We have constructed pedestrian overpass system and implemented a smart traffic management system in major city. Initiating safe corridor development plan mainly covers the safety infrastructure, awareness camping for road users, and post-crash response. Nepal request to following support at the sector of road safety strategy. We have to almost completed the process to join the UN Road Safety Convention. It would be good to organize the capacity building workshops on UN Convention. National Road Safety Council, Department of Roads and Ministry are planning to organize the youth advocacy program. Some support is needed. Road safety is a priority of the Ministry and Development of Roads. In order to create the high-level awareness and impacts a high-level UN visit by special envoy on road safety would be good to put road safety on priority agenda and mobilization resources. We used to have road safety database, but is not operating in order to monitor the progress on road safety and effectiveness of the programs. A road safety database with baseline data is must. We seek ESCAP for development partner to support on this. Immediate response to accidents and primary health care, fatality trauma center for injured person is must. We have initiated some activity in this regard in partnership with the Armed Police Force of Nepal to support the training, and trainers are necessary. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Russian Federation, you have the floor, to be followed by Kazakhstan.
Спасибо за предоставленное слово. В мае 2024 года были определены национальные цели развития Российской Федерации на период до 2030 года и на перспективу до 2036 года. Одна из национальных целей – комфортная и безопасная среда для жизни. Поставлена задача по снижению смертности в результате дорожно-транспортных происшествий в 1,5 раза. В нашей стране с 2015 года успешно функционирует национальная система экстренного реагирования при дорожно-транспортных происшествиях «Эра ГЛОНАСС». В настоящее время количество транспортных средств, зарегистрированных в этой системе, составляет более 11 миллионов транспортных средств. За время функционирования системы в экстренные службы было передано более 335 тысяч вызовов. На повышение безопасности транспортной системы направлен федеральный проект «Общесистемные меры развития дорожного хозяйства». В городах с населением свыше 300 тысяч человек внедряются интеллектуальные транспортные системы, которые позволят автоматизировать процессы управления дорожным движением. Предусматривается наличие в городах Центра управления дорожным движением, Центра мониторинга и управления общественным транспортом, подсистем светофорного управления. В последние годы растет популярность средств индивидуальной мобильности. С 1 марта 2023 года вступили в силу изменения в правила дорожного движения для электросамокатов, гироскутеров и иных устройств. Предусматриваются следующие правила. Максимальная скорость движения не более 25 км в час. Электротранспорт, на котором можно ездить по тротуарам, вело- и пешеходным дорожкам, должен весить не более 35 кг. Движение регулируют специальными дорожными знаками. Скорость движения нужно рассчитывать, исходя из приоритета пешеходов. Спасибо.
Thank you, Russian Federation. Kazakhstan, may please take the floor, followed by Indonesia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Today, I'm honored to speak about Kazakhstan's ongoing commitment to creating safe and inclusive transport and mobility systems that meet the needs of all citizens. In recent years, Kazakhstan has prioritized safety as a key element of its transport development strategy. We have implemented multiple road safety initiatives aimed at reducing accidents with a strong focus on infrastructure improvements, better traffic management, and public awareness campaigns. These efforts are designed to improve safety for all road users, from drivers to pedestrians. In addition, new legislation and stricter enforcement of traffic laws have contributed to a safer roads and more responsible culture around road use. Inclusivity is another essential component of our transport strategy. Kazakhstan is committed to ensuring that transportation is accessible to all, regardless of age, ability, or location. This includes improving accessibility features in public transit system, such as designated spaces for people with disabilities. By investing in all-inclusive infrastructure, we aim to build a transport network that supports the independence and mobility of all citizens. Public transport in Kazakhstan is undergoing a sustainable transformation as we strive to make our cities more connected and accessible. New bus and rail routes have been added to increase connectivity in underserved areas, while green transport solutions are being expanded to reduce environmental impact. These measures make it easier and safer for people across the country to access jobs, education, and healthcare. Kazakhstan is also exploring digital solutions to improve the safety and inclusivity of our transport systems. Smart technologies such as real-time data collection and advanced traffic monitoring are being integrated to manage traffic flows and reduce congestion. These innovations enhance safety and make transportation more efficient and user-friendly for everyone. In closing, safe and inclusive mobility is a cornerstone for Kazakhstan's development goals. Through continuous improvements, strong partnership, and commitment to sustainability, Kazakhstan aims to build a transport network that promotes safety, accessibility, and equality for all citizens. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Kazakhstan. Next will be Indonesia, followed by China.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Distinguished delegated, Indonesia has established the National General Plan for Traffic and Road Safety through a government regulation aligned with UN Second Decade of Action for Road Safety 2020 to 2021 to 2030. This initiative involves collaboration among several case ministries and national police. The Ministry of Transportation, leading the safe vehicles pillars, has set ambitious 2030 target to improve vehicle safety. Key initiatives include mandatory compliance with stringent safety standards for all vehicles, certification through the new car assessment program, and road witness check at licensed facilities. Indonesia also aims to establish its non-ESCAP program to align with UN standards, strengthening the national automotive industry global standing. We aim to reduce traffic fatality by 85% per 100 people and 85% per 10,000 vehicles by 2040. Our strategy includes regulation on vehicle safety, road making, speed limit, and emergency care. With multi-sector collaboration, we strive to achieve a 50% reduce in road safety death and injury by 2030. Organization Global Road Safety Week, Indonesia conduct a National Road Safety Week campaign in 33 provinces focused on safe and eco-friendly transport while promoting public transport. The 2024 campaign integrated regulating supervisory and enforcement measures to strengthen road safety from digital certification for transport service to routine vehicle inspection as well as ramp check. Indonesia has actively promoted inclusive in its infrastructure development with the facilities designed to ensure accessibility for people with disabilities. In line with relevant regulation from the initial design phase, we have been thoughtfully planned the transport infrastructure to meet the needs of all the passengers, incorporating accessible road and seamless connectivity to facilitate the movement of priority passengers. While Indonesia has done significant initiative, program include and safe road transport. Challenges still remain. Therefore, Indonesia will welcome new initiative and further action program to enhance to road safety agenda, which could bring a positive impact for the society. Thank you.
Thank you, Indonesia. China is invited to take the floor, to be followed by Thailand.
谢谢主席。本代表团感谢秘书处对亚太城市加强 城市交通系统社会包容性和创新准则及道路安全发展相关政策及活动的介绍。中国大力推动道路安全，保障交通系统的安全、公平与包容性。在社会包容性方面，2022年，中国政府出台了“十四五”全国道路交通安全规划，科学统筹和系统部署全面道路安全工作，建设无障碍公共交通设备，满足残障人士、老年人等不同弱势群体的特殊出行需求。我们推动农村客运高质量发展，强化重点时段农民的出行服务保障。我们强化中小学校车安全保障，发展专用校车、定制公交等方式，持续增强交通包容性。在道路安全方面，我们通过研发应用现代化智能设备，在驾驶行为引导、车辆运行安全监测、恶劣天气影响管控等方面发挥重要作用。我们强化标准制度建设，规范自动驾驶等新技术安全标准。我们融合大数据、人工智能、5G 等新兴技术，提高现代交通治理能力，提升交通设施自身安全、运输车辆运营安全。我们依托交通安全管理的数字化平台，开展交通风险的大数据研判、智能化管控，推动交通事故预防由事后向事前转变。我们加大交通安全管理制度、管理人员及经费保障，建立健全基层交通管理人员的培训机制。总之，中国愿意与 ESCAP 和各方保持合作，推动建设安全、包容的交通运输和物流，不断取得新的成果，助推经济和社会发展。谢谢大家。
Thank you, China. We have Thailand on our list, to be followed by India.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, distinguished delegates. Thailand commends the effort of member states and Secretariat to reduce fatality and enhance road safety. With regard to the development of road safety in Thailand, in supporting the goal to reduce 50% of road traffic deaths and serious injuries set by the United Nations second decade of action for road safety from 2021 to 2030, Thailand placed the road safety issue as a priority national agenda. In pursuing this goal, Thailand has adopted a comprehensive and multifaceted approach that leverages technology, strengthens law enforcement, improves road infrastructure, and acts stricter safety regulations on vehicle user and enhance driver training. In the respect of leveraging technology and law enforcement issues, the following technologies to enhance road safety have been put in place. Firstly, the Department of Highway, in collaboration with the Traffic Police Division, install the ultimate speed enforcement system to control car user in 51 checkpoints on nationwide target roads. Since 2022 up to now, more than 33 million of the car user cases was charged by the system and resulting in significantly deterring reckless driving. Secondly, the smart crosswalk was installed in 14 locations. This advanced system would greatly help to safeguard pedestrians from road accidents. Furthermore, the progressive technology systems such as the automated detectors of traffic law violation have also been equipped at major road intersections for further enhanced road safety. And lastly, is a combination of technologies and enforcement together. The Department of Land Transport has integrated its database on driver license and vehicle registration with the traffic police management system since April last year. This is to ensure that complete enforcement to all cases of traffic violation occur. In terms of road infrastructure improvement, Thailand have systematically identified and addressed risk accident-prone areas. This can reduce number of road accidents by 22% in 2022 and 19% in 2023, respectively. Thailand is now assessing our highways with an IRAP star rating methodology to achieve targets 3 and 4 of the global road safety performance targets. The first phase of evaluating 8,200 kilometers of road are completed and now embarking on the second phase to cover 75% of the network and to develop a plan to upgrade highways to a 3-star rating. For vehicle safety regulations, we align our vehicle standard with the UN regulations. In 2024, we implemented regulations for motorcycle lighting and signaling, also called R53, rear underrun protection.
Thailand, if I may ask you to please wrap up.
Yes, sir. Just one paragraph more.
Thank you.
And lateral protection device, enhancing vehicle safety. Last but not least, Mr. Chair, Thailand has improved driving license training by incorporating hazard perception and new point deduction system. We have also made online driving license exam and training material, including driving license manual and accident prediction manuals, accessible through e-books on the Department of Land Transport website. By combining this strategy, Mr. Chair, we determine to create safer roads for all. We are committing to achieving our goal of 50% reduction of road traffic deaths and serious injuries by 2030. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Thailand. Those of us who live or travel to Thailand, of course, that's very encouraging to hear about all the initiatives. We would like to hear from India now, to be followed by Azerbaijan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Government of India has introduced National Urban Transport Policy with the objective to plan for the people rather than vehicles by providing sustainable mobility and accessibility to all citizens to jobs, education, social services and recreation at affordable cost and within reasonable time. Intelligent Transportation System scheme has been launched by the Government of India to provide financial assistance to the state transport undertakings for strengthening intelligent transportation system in the public transport with the objective of improving the accessibility, connectivity and service offering of public transportation in India. Government of India has formulated a multi-pronged strategy to address the issue of safety in transport based on awareness campaigns, highway engineering and vehicle engineering for safety, accredited driver training, enforcement measures and emergency care. Accessible India campaign has been introduced by Government of India across nation to create universal accessibility for persons with disabilities in built environment, transport and information and communication technology ecosystem. Government of India is supporting the states and union territories in setting up monitoring centers to implement the vehicle location tracking system for tracking the public service vehicles fitted with the tracking device. The proposed systems envisages to enhance the safety and security of the women and the girl-child passenger by monitoring and responding to the raised distress alerts in case of emergency. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, India. May we hear from Azerbaijan, to be perhaps followed by Fiji. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, esteemed colleagues, Azerbaijan is dedicated to fostering a transport system that's both safe and inclusive, ensuring accessibility for all citizens, and prioritizing the well-being of all road users. We recognize that safe and inclusive mobility contributes not only to individual welfare, but also the economic and social resilience of our communities. To this end, Azerbaijan has implemented several initiatives. State program on road safety. With a focus on reducing traffic incidents, Azerbaijan has launched a national campaign to raise public awareness about road safety. These efforts include educational programs for young drivers and to raise public awareness about road safety. These efforts includes also pedestrian safety improvements and stricter enforcement on road regulations such as speed limit reduction. The second initiative is accessible public transport. We are working to make public transport more accessible for persons with disabilities, the elderly, and other vulnerable groups. New public transport infrastructure is being designed with universal access in mind, ensuring that everyone can benefit from safe and convenient mobility options. Azerbaijan government aims to renew the bus park to make it fully sustainable. Government has agreed with Chinese producer BYD to purchase and localize the production of electric buses in Baku. Ministry of Digital Development and Transport has specified detailed technical requirements for these buses. These buses have compliance with ECE standards, including Directive ECE R107, with specific requirements for inclusive mobility. Smart transport solutions. Through smart traffic management and digital monitoring systems, Azerbaijan is reducing congestion and improving road safety across major cities. This technology enhances real-time safety management, allowing rapid response to incidents and providing data-driven insights for continuous improvements. Looking forward, Azerbaijan is committed to strengthening partnerships and sharing best practices to create transport networks that are both safe and inclusive. We believe that safe, accessible mobility is fundamental to building a resilient and connected Asia-Pacific region. Thank you.
Thank you, Azerbaijan. I invite Fiji to make its statement.
Thank you, Chair, and a very good morning to you all, delegates. I'll try and keep my brief as short as possible. Ensuring safety and inclusivity in transport is vital for national and regional development. Fiji's approach focuses on 1. Road safety initiatives. Fiji has aligned its land transport regulations with a decade of action for road safety. Our comprehensive strategy includes public safety campaigns, infrastructure enhancements, and stronger enforcement measures to reduce traffic incidents. We also seek technical assistance from ESCAP to bolster these initiatives. 2. Inclusive transport policies. Fiji is implementing policies to improve access for vulnerable groups, including persons with disabilities, women, and the elderly. The development of the Fiji National Transport Sector Master Plan will prioritize inclusive strategies to ensure equitable mobility for all, fostering social and economic inclusion. 3. Urban transport planning. By investing in public transport infrastructure and promoting non-motorized transport options, Fiji aims to address urban mobility challenges, making transport systems safer and more accessible. These measures underscore Fiji's commitment to a transport system that is safe, inclusive, and supportive of the well-being of all members of the community. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Fiji. I understand the Russian Federation would like to make a second statement under this agenda item. You have the floor, please.
Спасибо большое. Я поясню, что сейчас я хотела бы представить информацию о мерах Российской Федерации по обеспечению доступности и инклюзивности транспорта. Таким образом, дополнить свое предыдущее выступление. Одним из условий Российская Федерация последовательно осуществляет политику по обеспечению доступности транспорта для различных категорий граждан. Одним из условий оказания государственной поддержки для обновления наземного общественного транспорта является приобретение транспортных средств со 100% низкопольной частью салона. Для обеспечения транспортной мобильности граждан с ограниченными возможностями в передвижении до социально значимых объектов в регионах России создаются специальные службы социального такси. На станциях метрополитена для обеспечения возможности перехода с одной станции на другую обеспечиваются мобильные лестничные подъемники. Также в метрополитенах создаются специализированные службы, которые оказывают маломобильным гражданам ситуационную помощь и сопровождают по всему маршруту следования. Например, при входе на станцию, посадки и высадки из вагона, пересадки на другую станцию. Например, на московском метрополитене функционирует Центр обеспечения мобильности пассажиров. Сотрудники центра оказывают различным категориям граждан помощь в передвижении по вестибюлям, лестницам, эскалаторам, платформам, в лифтах. В Санкт-Петербургском метрополитене все станции и вестибюли оборудованы системой радиоинформирования и ориентирования «Говорящий город», что обеспечивает доступность входа в метрополитен для пассажиров с нарушением функции зрения. Спасибо большое за предоставленную возможность выступить дополнительно. Спасибо.
Thank you, Russian Federation. We will be hearing from a couple of organizations that have requested for the floor. First, we have AITD. Oh, sorry. Japan asking for the floor. Sorry, AITD, can you please wait? Let us hear from Japan. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Japan places high importance on issues related to enhancing social inclusion in transportation systems, and would like to thank the Secretariat's work in this regard. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism has formulated explanatory guides providing guidance on easier mobility in facility in relation to public transportation passengers facility in Japan, and has shared these with other interested countries in this region, and is also engaging in initiatives to provide support for the creation of policy representing various countries with the aim of contributing to the development of barrier-free public transportation facilities based on transportation partnerships such as one with ASEAN countries. In addition, through convening of conferences, Japan has been sharing with other regions the insights obtained from the ground on barrier-free accessibility sites in public transportation to help assess region-wide efforts in promoting inclusive public transportation based on the universal design approach of freedom and convenience for anywhere and anyone. Japan also plays increasing attention to mainstreaming gender perspective and inclusiveness in transportation. To date, Japan has taken measures to install priority spaces for strollers in public transportation facilities and creating safer design for long-haul buses for women to help reduce their anxiety in using public transportation. Incorporating such gender-specific needs is vital for Japan, As a society faces the challenges of responding to diverse needs regarding transportation services and in addressing worker shortages resulting from population decline and aging, Japan intends to further promote the provision of transportation services which incorporate women's perspectives, as well as promoting successful careers for women in the transportation sector. To signal our interest in promoting the mainstreaming of gender perspective in the transport sector, Japan, for example, recently held a seminar on gender and transport in Tokyo this July with the participation of Minister of Ministry of Land Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism and the Secretary General of the International Transport Forum, or ITF. Going forward, the Ministry of Land Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism will promote initiatives relating to gender and transportation, including through multilateral mechanisms such as the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, and ASEAN. And in terms of road safety, Japan places high importance on issues related to road safety and is keen to work with countries in the region on this topic. In partnership with various countries in this region, Japan has been assisting with training on transportation and road safety issues to public officials of various countries on a regular basis, such as each year for the ASEAN region. Japan has also participated in joint creation of policy reports on road transportation safety policy with various Asian countries over 2019 through 2024. Japan also recognizes the great importance of working through international partnerships for the formulation of safety standards. Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism is engaging in various discussions at various international forums, including in emerging areas on the formulation of international standards. We look forward to further engaging with countries on this important topic, including through multilateral frameworks such as ESCAP. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. If we have no other flags raised, then can I again invite AITD to make its statement, please?
Thank you, Chair. We commend the Transport Division of UN ESCAP for playing a very pivotal role in international endeavor to make our roads safer. Ladies and gentlemen, considering its magnitude and consequent severe negative impact on the economy, public health, and general welfare of the people, the road safety is one of the focused area of work of Asian Institute of Transport Development, AITD. The institute has partnered with the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, Government of India, UN ESCAP, Asian Development Bank, and other organizations in taking and implementing a number of important measures to promote road safety. I wish to emphasize that traffic conditions vary considerably between countries. There are substantial differences between traffic environments in developed countries and the countries, say, in South Asia region. The latter have a wide range of vehicle speeds. Slow-moving auto rickshaws share the road with new, highly performed cars. Additionally, the majority of road users are pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists, which adds to the complexity of traffic management. A study carried out by the AITD on a stretch of 1,200 kilometers, which forms a part of Asian highway network, clearly brought out that these highways are integral part of the road network serving the rural areas. Almost 50% of the total trips originating from the villages located in the proximity involving the use of national highway. This is contrary to the traditional view that a national highway mainly facilitate intercity travel and freight movement. Therefore, it is important to establish a long-term research program that use local empirical data to assess the road design and affect injuries. The findings from such research study should be the guiding principle for rating the roads in the country to improve road safety. Keeping this in view, we have tweaked the IRAP program, that is International Road Assessment Program, some of the markers which ultimately determine the star rating of the roads in the country, and that had paid a very rich dividend in our country. The Institute also partnered with ESCAP in implementation of project relating to improvement of driving licensing system and law of people democratic republics. This project was financed under UN Road Safety Fund. The Institute would be pleased to partner for more such projects in the coming year. The Institute involved a state-of-art curricula and training material based on which we have trained more than 3,600 road professionals in road safety engineering and road safety audit. The Institute also worked on system of accreditation of road safety auditor. This system was further refined and now implemented in our country. Having regard to the rich experience and expertise, the Institute will be happy to organize training program, workshop, seminars in association with ESCAP and other organizations on the area of road safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we hear from FIATA, please? Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Chair, distinguished ESCAP members. Safety in all modes of transport is paramount, underpinning the efficiency, reliability, and resilience of globalized supply chains. In today's interconnected world, where goods traverse multiple borders and involve numerous stakeholders, ensuring safety in transport is a shared responsibility that cannot be achieved by one alone actor. It requires the cooperation of all supply chain participants, each fulfilling their responsibilities with diligence, both in compliance with dangerous goods regulation and in adopting sound industry practice. An excellent example of such cooperation is the Cargo Integrity Group, of which FIATA is part together with other stakeholders. One of the main aims of the group is to raise awareness of safe packing practices, in particular through the promotion of the CTO code. Most recently, for example, the CIG put out a communication calling for accurate and transparent communication of critical information, especially emergency contact information, to enable timely responses in unforeseen circumstances. FIATA is committed to raising awareness of safe transport practices, which is essential for developing a culture of accountability in transport. FIATA also works to ensure such awareness through its training programs and guidance. By promoting safety first principle in coordination with other supply chain stakeholders, freight forwarders contribute to a secure and sustainable future for global trade and transport. In line with technological innovation in transportation, and FIATA digitalization strategy, which includes initiatives such as the Digital FBL, cybersecurity has become a priority to ensure that data ownership and protection are upheld. FIATA recognizes the importance of collaboration in this area, particularly with governments and international organizations like ESCAP, to strengthen cybersecurity and data management standards. A key example of our commitment to data protection and safety is the Data Governance Charter we published with the Global Shippers Forum, outlining essential standards for data security that digital platform providers should adopt. Additionally, we developed a comprehensive cybersecurity guidance document co-authored with insurance experts to support our members and SMEs in mitigated cyber risk. FIATA looks forward to deepening cooperation with ESCAP to further these efforts. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Is there any other request for the floor, please? I do not see any further request for the floor. At this stage, I would like to invite delegations to consider and comment on the proposed draft decision as contained in document ESCAP/CTR8/6. Can we have the text projected on screen, please? So we'll be focusing on decision 6. Would any delegation wish to comment on the text? Fiji, please.
Thank you, Chair. Let me thank the committee for this, the Secretary for this draft decision. I fully understand its intent. but I think it needs to be more directive and more structured in a way that it's more meaningful to member states. So I will make the following edits, Chair, if you may. The committee notes, delete comment, change the word note. The efforts, if I can just read, the efforts of member states to implement urban transport policies and insert these words, that enhances road safety and reflect social inclusion as its key focus. Furthermore, it encourages member states to promote innovations in urban transport system in Asia-Pacific cities and share information and modalities using the guidelines being developed by the Secretariat as a reference guide, period, and delete the rest.
Fiji, can you read that out a bit slowly so that we can reflect it on the screen? Thank you. So that should be transport policies that enhance, not enhances probably,
enhance road safety
and reflect social inclusion, and then you had some text. Can you
Yes.
please read that again slowly?
Okay, then the next text is furthermore, it encourages member states to promote innovations in urban transport system in Asia Pacific cities. I think that language is somewhere there. And share information and modalities using the guidelines being developed by the Secretariat as reference guide.
Can you
Maybe
please,
the last guide can change.
Can you please share the text with the Secretariat? So
Yes,
that
I
we
will.
can-
Okay, thank you.
Maybe someone from the Secretariat can collect the text from the delegation of Fiji. While we wait for that, any delegation wishes to comment on the original text?
Chair, it should be using the guidelines being developed by the Secretariat. Yeah, delete all those. Yeah. As a reference point, one of the reference point, as a reference point, not the only guideline that you can use.
Thank you, Fiji and the Secretariat. The text now reads more action-oriented. Any comments? Russian Federation.
Благодарю вас, господин председатель. Маленькая корректировка. Пятая строчка, которая начинается со слов using. Зачеркнуть слово using, заменить его словом taking note of. Спасибо.
Thank you. Any further comments? Fiji, would you?
Chair, I'm really happy with the proposed, initial proposal by the Russian Federation. I think it makes it more intact in terms of its intent going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So we can delete the word using probably. I see no request for the floor for further comments. So the decision text reads, the Committee on Transport notes the efforts of member states to implement urban transport policies that enhance road safety and reflect social inclusion. Furthermore, it encourages member states to promote innovation in urban transport systems. Should it be systems or system? In the Asia-Pacific cities, and share information and modalities, taking note of the guidelines being developed by the Secretariat as a reference point. Yes, the US, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick clarifying question we reference. In the Asia-Pacific cities, does that have a specific meaning that someone could explain to me, or is it broadly understood to mean any city within a member state of ESCAP? Thank you.
Chair, maybe the Secretary can respond to that, because I just copied from, just lifted from the draft decision.
And also the document that was furnished, I mean, it also used the word urban transport systems in Asia-Pacific cities. I'm referring to document 6, Guidelines on Enhancing Social Inclusion and Innovations in Urban Transport Systems in Asia-Pacific Cities. But yes, does the Secretariat have any response to that? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the guidelines were developed on a regional level in line with ESCAP's regional mandate. So Asia Pacific cities contains all cities in ESCAP member states.
See the US delegate nodding. So thank you all for your constructive engagement. Let us use that spirit for the next decision point. Can we move to the next one, please? And of course, I would request the Secretariat to reflect this draft decision 6 in their record of discussions for adoption by the committee. Member states, probably the S should be in lower cap, just a small. Good. So this text will be reflected in the report of the committee. And then we can move to the second document decision proposed under this agenda item. We have the decision text on screen, and I would like to invite delegations to intervene specifically on this particular text. Fiji, please.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think I have the magic wand to this particular para, but it's more of a clarification from my delegation. Whilst the intent of the draft decision is clear, but what is not really clear to my mind is the use of the word targeted technical assistance. Who is doing the targeting? Who is doing the shooting? Who is receiving? Who determines the assistance? Because our view is that this should be determined by member states as priorities of member states, not as the Secretariat priority. So I would like to seek that clarification before I make a further suggestion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Secretariat?
Thank you. Yes, for the word targeted, that is exactly what you mentioned, because generally road safety involves multiple aspects. Targeted in this sense mean that what the country need the most and have requested to us, then we provide that targeted assistance to the country. For example, in the case of the project with Lao PDR, they requested the improvement of the driver licensing system. So the project that went to Lao PDR is not generally just on any aspect of road safety, but particularly targeted on improving the driver licensing system, for example.
Thank you, Secretariat. Fiji, does that satisfy your?
Yes, Chair. It's just that I know it's membership driven. That word is missing from targeted. Maybe members targeted technical assistance, something like that. That will satisfy my my curiosity. Thank you.
Or demand-driven.
Yes.
Is what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Probably.
It has to be demand-driven.
Targeted support.
It has to be demand-driven. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have a minor addition to the last sentence. Given the report provided by the Secretariat and the road safety in Asia and Pacific, and given the outcomes of that report and the elements of that report, we have minor amendments in the last paragraph, in the last sentence. So in particular, the safety of vulnerable road users, full stop, because it encompasses all groups, for example, pedestrians, using we should give safety for them. So we should use the general term here. And after the safety of the vulnerable road users, full stops, and the deletion till to the end of the paragraph. Thank you.
Thank you, Iran. Russian Federation, please.
Спасибо. Ну, наша поправка, она идет в том же ключе, что и предложение нашего уважаемого друга из делегации Ирана. Но она более решительная, я бы сказал. Мы предлагаем вычеркнуть все то, что начинается со слов in particular. Спасибо.
Yes, okay. That is being reflected on screen. Yes, US and then Japan. US first.
Thank you, Chair. Just two slight deletions, actually, as well. We would request to delete with appreciation from the first line, and the adjective important describing the role played by the UN Safety Fund, Road Safety Fund. Thank you.
Noted. Japan, please.
Actually, I was actually going to suggest a similar deletion of those points because we didn't really have quite a bit of an explanation enough on the rationale. I wasn't really quite sure why important, on what aspects. We also support the demand-driven inclusion in the text. So just to reiterate, I was going to suggest the same. Just a clarification on the deletion of the entire reference to vulnerable road users. Is it because of the uncertainty of the definition? I just would like to understand for clarity. Thank you.
Yes, I think the Russian Federation would like to respond. Thank you.
Вот большое спасибо за вопрос. Мы бы хотели оставить общую генерическую формулировку. Вы знаете, мы, большинство сидящих в этом зале, все участники дорожного движения. И в современных условиях это большой вопрос. Кто является уязвимым на дороге? А я из своего окна в Москве, я очень часто наблюдаю за мотоциклистами, И вижу, что уязвимыми являются отнюдь не мотоциклисты, а те несчастные водители, которые пытаются отклониться от стремительно несущихся мотоциклистов. Так что тут большой вопрос, кто у нас тут уязвим. Это, конечно, шутливое изложение существа вопроса, но это реальная проблема. В настоящее время появляются так называемые средства индивидуальной мобильности. Индивидуально. На двух колесах, на одном колесе. Чего только нет. И вот тут уже уязвимыми становятся как раз те, кто оказывается на пути этих multi-wheelers. Я не из дорожной инспекции. Я сам участник дорожного движения и очень хорошо понимаю, о чем говорю.
Thank you. I hope that detailed explanation helps. Good. Using my chair's prerogative, I mean, of course, when we were listening to the Secretariat's presentation, it did highlight that there are certain segments of road users who are particularly vulnerable and susceptible to frequent accidents. And I guess the original text included some of those segments from that consideration. But of course, this decision point wouldn't be severely compromised if we are to kind of leave out reference to those segments. So can I take it that the committee is more or less agreeable to the text that we see on screen? I can read that out. The Committee on Transport notes the activities implemented under the Regional Plan of Action for Asia and the Pacific for the second decade of Action for Road Safety 2021 to 2030, recognizes the role played by the United Nations Road Safety Fund in supporting road safety advancements in the region through demand-driven targeted technical assistance projects, and urges member states to continue and scale up efforts to promote and improve road safety in the region. Full stop. Good. I see no immediate reaction. So we will take it that this decision text as amended can be reflected in the report of the committee for adoption. I would request the Secretariat to act accordingly. How are we doing in terms of timing? So that would bring us to the closure of agenda item 3 in general, particularly 3C, but is there any delegation wishing to speak at this point before we conclude agenda item 3? The Islamic Republic of Iran, please.
Dear Chairman, esteemed delegations, it is my honor to attend at this high-level ESCAP meeting on the Committee of Transport. Sorry for our statement with one-day delay due to flight schedule problem to get Bangkok yesterday. I would like just to address some issues with regard to transport, mainly rail transport in Asia and Pacific. As you well know, a new annex to the Intergovernmental Agreement on Trans-Asian Railway Network, TAR, was adopted at the 8th meeting of the Working Group on the Trans-Asian Railway Network, held in September last year. The annex contains the general principles for electronic information exchange between railways and among railways and control agencies along the Trans-Asian Railway Network, and aim to provide overarching framework for developing compatible practices on digital exchange of information along the Trans-Asian Railway. Seamless digital exchange of information would ensure efficient completion of railway boarding crossing formalities, enhancing its reliability and competitiveness, promoting modal shift, leading to more climate-friendly transport across the region. Iranian Railways has initiated domestic processes for completing the formalities of acceptance and would submit the instrument of acceptance to the Secretariat in due course. The Moscow Declaration on Accelerating Digital Transformation of Rail Transport, that was the outcome of the roundtable held in Moscow in May 2024, also encouraged countries to complete the domestic formalities and submit instrument of acceptance of new annex to the Secretariat. Taking this opportunity and giving the urgency of the issue, we call on the parties to the Trans-Asian Railway to submit their instrument of acceptance for new annex to TAR agreement. In addition, we heartily support the work of Secretariat in promoting digitalization among railways through the strategy in 2030 on accelerating rail digital transformation in Asia-Pacific region. We thank the Secretariat for organizing a capacity building workshop on rail digitalization in Tehran in December 2022 and request for more similar activities such as the important issues of electronic data exchange between the railways and the control agencies such as customs, electronic data exchange between the customs of en route countries along Eurasian corridors, as well as the issues of tracking and tracing of wagons in international rail transport corridors. And I would like to mention that some important east-western and north-southern corridor cross Iran. Making this corridor operational and launching scheduled block trains on these corridors is the top priority of the government of Islamic Republic of Iran and also the railways of Islamic Republic of Iran. We can refer to the resumption of running block container trains from China to Iran and vice versa from July 2024 on the southern route of Silk Road corridor through Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and continuation of these trains towards Europe through Turkey, as well as running these trains on the full rail route from China towards Iran through Uzbekistan is also in our agenda. We welcome ESCAP support in sharing and making studies for us on the best practices of the successful and reliable corridors, as well as management mechanism for corridors. And the last point I would like to mention is the issue of dry port and logistic networks, as well as developing logistic centers, mainly along the international rail corridors, providing support for combined transport, which is also on the agenda of Iranian Railways. And we would like to have cooperation and connection with the countries in this regard in Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, distinguished delegate. Thanks for your participation and contribution. So that would bring us to the close of agenda item 3, We shall now proceed to agenda item 4, preparations for the 5th Ministerial Conference on Transport and the next phase of the Regional Action Programme for Sustainable Transport Development in Asia and the Pacific.
Thank you, Chair. It is my pleasure to present the appreciation document under this agenda item, ESCAP/CTR8/8. In this document, the Secretariat shares the update or the available information on the state of preparation for the 5th Ministerial Conference on Transport. The 5th Ministerial Conference on Transport, it will be convened in 2026 on the dates that are yet to be confirmed. As of now, the tentative venue is United Nations Conference Center in Bangkok, unless, of course, we receive a request from a member states ready to host the conference. As in line with the previous editions of the Ministerial Conference, it will comprise a senior official segment and a ministerial segment, each lasting 2 days. And in the procession document, you will see more detailed information about the proposed structure. To make sure that all member states are fully informed of the organizational aspects of the conference, all the information will be shared by the Secretariat in due course with the members of Advisory Committee of Permanent Representatives and other representatives designated by the members of the Commission. As in line with the past practice as well, the substantive consultations with members and associate members will be facilitated by the Secretariat. The Ministerial Conference in 2026 will mark the end of the current Regional Action Programme for Sustainable Transport Development, which covers the period from 2022 to 2026, and will launch the next phase of the Regional Action Programme. In doing so, and in the preparation, in the procession document, the Secretariat flags a number of elements that should be of relevance to our members and associate members when they prepare for the Ministerial Conference and participate in the preparatory activities. As in the past, an independent evaluation of the implementation of the current Regional Action Programme will take place in the last year of the Regional Action Programme, and the result of that evaluation will be reported to the Ministerial Conference. Beyond this evaluation activity, there are a number of global initiatives that the Secretariat would like to flag as part of the overall context for the preparation of the next phase of the Regional Action Programme. Of course, we remain guided by the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals, especially knowing that the next phase of our Regional Action Programme will cover the last remaining dates of the 2030 Agenda. An element of direct importance that has already been flagged in several interventions yesterday and today is the General Assembly Resolution 78/148, which announced the United Nations Decade of Sustainable Transport. And we will share just a few updates on that in the next slide. Following that, of course, some of the ongoing activities and global and regional initiatives for the countries in the special situations are, as always, an important element of context in the preparation for the next phase. One of them is the ongoing work on the United Nations Special Program for the Economies of Central Asia, which covers a landlocked developing states in that sub-region. And as we referred earlier yesterday, is the fourth international conference on the outcome of the fourth international conference on small island developing states, and the forthcoming third United Nations conference on landlocked developing countries, which covers other LDCs not covered by in our sub-region in North and Central Asia. We have heard just now about the Decade of Action for Road Safety, which is, as always, an important component of our regional action program. And as for the current action program that was adopted in 2021, the global processes related to the climate change and the Paris agreements are also an important element of context. As our member states, associate members prepare to start considering the next regional action program, and as I just mentioned, an element of great importance and novelty here is the United Nations Decade of Sustainable Transport that was proclaimed by the General Assembly resolution for the 10-year period, which will begin on the 1st January 2026, and there have been quite a few elements and information shared on this on the Decade of Sustainable Transport, and Secretariat would like to just highlight a few. That for now, the GA resolution that proclaims the decade is focused on 4 areas: transport and transit corridors, countries in special situations, multimodal transportation in social aspects. But by and large, the content of the resolution is aligned with the scope of the current regional action program. At the same time, it is foreseen that there will be an implementation plan for the decade that is currently under deliberation with the consultation just launched by the headquarters, and the period of the development of that implementation plan coincides with the period of preparation for our next regional action program. And this is, as always, and in this particular case, an opportunity for Asia Pacific to share its vision in relation to the decade and the implementation plan, and perhaps in some areas consider playing a leading role. So this is flagged by the Secretariat due to the synergic effects and obviously the common considerations that will be driving those 2 processes forward, one regional in Asia and the Pacific on the next regional action program, and one global on the implementation plan for the decade. So, under issues for consideration by the committee, we, as in the past, will be guided by any insights or recommendation by the committee on the development of the next regional action program, building on the outcomes achieved and observed already so far, and the draft recommendation is proposed under this agenda item. Mr. Chair, before concluding, I would like to share that this is the last time we meet with the committee before the ministerial. In the previous, for the 4th ministerial conference on transport, we had, because of the timing, we had the committee a year before the ministerial conference, and at that stage the committee was able to share with us some very concrete ideas of what could be the current thematic areas of the new thematic areas of the regional action program. We understand now that we're more advanced, we're 2 years away, but the Secretariat would be very grateful for any initial guidance or comments or insights or suggestions that the member states and associate member states are ready to share already now. Thank you, Chair. I'll complete my presentation.
Thank you, Secretariat, for that presentation. So the draft recommendation that was just flagged is also contained in document ESCAP/CTR 8/8. And as our colleague from the Secretariat invited, would there be any comments, interventions, suggestions at this point? We would have some statements forthcoming. We start with China, to be followed by Russian Federation.
谢谢主席。本代表团感谢秘书处围绕第5届交通运输部长级会议和下一阶段区域行动方案的筹备工作。我们认为区域行动方案的有关考虑以及工作计划将有利于进一步推动亚太地区交通运输的互联互通，促进区域的经济平衡发展。因此本代表团支持 2026年交通运输部长级会议，以及区域行动方案下一阶段工作计划的有关安排。谢谢主席。
Thank you. That was succinct and precise. Russian Federation to be followed by Fiji.
Уважаемый господин председатель, уважаемые коллеги, мы поддерживаем идею разработки обновленной региональной программы действий по развитию устойчивого транспорта в АТР на период после 2026 года. При решении этой задачи считаем важным не только обеспечить преемственность между стратегическими направлениями ныне реализуемой региональной программы, но также, отталкиваясь от наработанного опыта и извлеченных уроков, учесть новые вызовы, ориентируясь на реальные потребности социально-экономического развития региона. С прицелом на разработку обновленной региональной программы в интересах наращивания транспортного сотрудничества на субрегиональном, региональном и межрегиональном уровнях хотели бы в самом первом приближении выделить такие актуальные с нашей точки зрения тематические блоки, как продвижение цифровых решений в транспортной отрасли, внедрение искусственного интеллекта и технологий автономного транспорта, разработку цифровых транспортно-экономических балансов, повышение так называемой бесшовности всех видов транспортного сообщения, синхронизацию развития современной транспортной инфраструктуры с планами наращивания экспортно-импортных операций в регионе, укрепление межрегиональной транспортной связуемости. Важный вклад в субстантивное наполнение обновленной региональной программы призваны внести реализуемые под эгидой ООН транспортные соглашения и соответствующие рабочие группы. И последнее по порядку, но не по существу. Подготовительная работа к 5-й конференции министров по транспорту не только в контексте подготовки проекта обновленной региональной программы или иных итоговых документов конференции, но и с точки зрения ее организационных модальностей, должна вестись в строгом соответствии с правилами процедуры ESCAP и утвержденными в рамках всей системы ООН принципами работы. Спасибо.
Thank you, Russian Federation. That was helpful. Fiji to be followed by Japan, please.
Thank you, Chair. Fiji appreciates the comprehensive outline provided by the Secretariat on the preparations for the 5th Ministerial Conference on Transport and the next phase of the Regional Action Programme for Sustainable Transport Development in Asia and the Pacific. We acknowledge the significant progress made in the current 2022-2026 phase and the dedication required for the development of the next phase. Fiji remains committed to sustainable transport development, recognizing it as a key enabler for economic resilience and achieving sustainable development goals. As a small island development state, Fiji faces unique challenges, including geographical isolations and vulnerability to climate change. Therefore, we emphasize the importance of targeted and inclusive measures in the next phase of the Regional Action Programme that addresses the specific needs of SIDS. We support the call for a comprehensive evaluation of the 22-26 phase to assess achievements and identify gaps. Fiji believes that such an evaluation should highlight best practices and lessons learned, which will guide improvements in the upcoming program. We encourage the Secretariat to include the perspectives of SEEDS to ensure that the new phase reflects the unique context and challenges of the island nations. Given the urgent need to address climate change, Fiji advocates for stronger emphasis on transitioning to low carbon and climate resilient transport systems. The new phase should incorporate innovation solutions and partnerships that enable countries, especially SEEDS, to adopt green technologies and sustainable transport infrastructure. We also recommend aligning the programs closely with the goals of the Paris Agreement and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Fiji, alongside with other Pacific Island states, is actively engaged at the IMO Marine Environment Protection Committee, MEPC, in advocating for both economic and technical measures to support the 2023 IMO strategy on reducing GHG emissions from ships. Specifically, Fiji calls for the implementations of the GHG pricing mechanism. This measure, based on the polluter pays principle, would direct revenue towards the in-sector and the out-sector investments. This approach promises significant benefits for the climate vulnerable nations like Fiji by enhancing financial support for sustainable development and resilience in the transport and other critical areas. We urge the continued integration of these global advocacy efforts into regional transport strategies. Capacity building and technology transfer are critical for ensuring that countries with limited resources such as Fiji can implement and sustain transport innovations. We call for the enhanced regional cooperation and partnership that facilitate training, knowledge sharing, and access to modern transport technologies. Fiji stresses the importance of securing financial support for the implementation of critical transport projects. For example, our ongoing efforts towards the development of the megaport, as was alluded to yesterday, to demonstrate our commitment to sustainable maritime solutions that require funding for technical assistance. We also highlight the need for investment and implementation of the Green Shipping Corridor, reinforcing zero-emissions maritime routes in alignment with the regional sustainable goals. Additionally, we underscore the importance of international shippings to support Fiji as we develop our transport sector master plan and the Fiji National Transport Decarbonization Strategy. These initiatives are essential for building a comprehensive low-carbon transport framework that meets our national and regional climate commitments. To conclude, Fiji looks forward to contributing to the development of the next phase of the Regional Action Program and emphasizes the importance of inclusive dialogue during the consultation process. We urge all member states, stakeholders, and partners to support a forward-looking, resilient, and sustainable approach to transport development that aligns with the United Nations' decade of sustainable transport and strengthens our regional collaborations. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks for the forward-looking suggestions, Fiji. If Japan can be very brief, please, we can take it before the lunch break.
Or I can do it after the lunch break.
Okay,
That is fine.
that makes sense. So we break for lunch and hope to see all delegations back in this room at 2 p.m. Right. Thank you.
Excuse me, distinguished delegates, the Secretariat would like to invite you to join the side event, Transition to E-Mobility in Public Transport, co-organized by ESCAP Secretariat, the Global Sustainable Transport Innovation and Knowledge Center of China, and the Embassy of Bangladesh in Thailand. So this event will take place in meeting room A from 12:30 to 14 hours. Thank you.